They are Kinnars, but from other places, they are also called Hijra, Aravani, etc. Kinnar are transgender people, but they are also being straight from our myths, the demigods who sing in heaven and dance in our legends. Under British rule, Kinnars face immense persecution. The after effects still weigh heavy on them. Now, these demigods are pushed to fringes, left to beg or do sex work. Giving blessings was once an honor, but now it's one of the few jobs society sees acceptable for a Kinnar.
Hi, my name is Zainab Patel. I am currently working in a corporate job with a large FMCG company focusing on inclusion and diversity. I've been to court multiple times with the government on human rights of LGBTIQ communities. I also sit on the Government of India's National Council for Transgender Persons as the Western India representative on transgender persons.
मेरा नाम नदिया है। मैं मुंबई में होती है 20 साल में मुंबई में आके मेरा चाइल्डहुड सब मेरा आंध्र प्रदेश मैं आंध्र प्रदेश से मुंबई आई 20 साल।
The formal employment rate is absolutely negligible. I think you can, in a country with 1 billion plus people, especially if you look at even the census data, about 486,000 trans people in India, which was enumerated by the census more than 10 years ago. Even if you keep that as a base, I don't think the formal employment crosses 2 to 3% totally. Whether you take jobs in the NGO sector, you take jobs in the private sector, any public, private. And now, if you look at the informal segment, and you see that there are trans people, trans masculine or trans feminine people indulging in various informal sector jobs, including what transgender people have been doing traditionally, then you will definitely see a larger percentage of people, because everyone needs a job to survive. There is no social security coming in for trans people, which is enough to take away. So I would say that the informal sector engagement is higher in terms of coverage because everyone works. So whether it is, going shop to shop, because that is a form of informal engagement for that, or for that matter, there are other kind of jobs that trans people do, whether trans masculine. So I would say coverage-wise, there would be a higher 90% coverage in the informal sector, but the formal sector could not cross more than 2 to 3% of the total population.
हमारा क्या रोजी रोटी क्या है, उनके लिए जाते हैं, बाहर जाते हैं कुछ पैसे कमाने के लिए, बेगिंग करते थे और सिग्नल पे जाते हैं तो रिक्शा स्टैंड में कोई आने वाला जाने वाला रहते उनसे पैसा मांग के हमारा रोजी रोटी चलती। घर पे भाड़ा पे रहते, वो घर जल्दी ट्रांसजेंडर का घर भी नहीं देता, पहले घर भी नहीं देता, अभी घर मिलते फिर भी ज़्यादा। अभी आम इंसान को एक फैमिली और बच्चे रहेगा तो उनका घर पे 4,000 5,000 रहते, अब ट्रांसजेंडर के पास आएगा तो 8,000 7,000 9,000 10,000 तक जाते।
In 2019, the Government of India passed the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019, which they claimed would prohibit discrimination, but it didn't include any further mention of job reservations.
So a lot of times when we meet people, we are asked this question that why don't you all do something? You're आप अलग क्यों नहीं कुछ करते हो? Like आप काम क्यों नहीं करते? Like we are not in the US or the UK or where a social security is good enough to take care of your day-to-day needs. Unfortunately, because we live in a country which is so populous and we don't have adequate, we have to earn too. So we said, why not start an idea of self-employment? We opened a cafe and we were deliberating on the name and we said, let's call it the Trans Cafe. There's no other way of directly putting it. This is what we are. It's our identity. The owner, the group is run by a group of trans folks, including me. We have the management. We have one of the chefs as a trans person. We have the serving staff. And the idea is for anyone to come in and have a meal which we serve with the best amount of dignity. Because unlike places, what we are trying to say is that You may have bereft us of dignity, but here we are serving you this meal with all the respect and dignity that you deserve. Awareness starts with the fact that let us remove the misawareness. What is something that in our educational institutions that we refuse to teach? And if you start countering that, then will awareness come on rights, on equality, on equity, on human rights, etc. So on. But the fact is, let us first remove the misawareness that this is not a mental illness. Today, you still see so many people who say that trans people are mentally ill because of the way certain words were used in the past, saying that it's a mental disorder. When your name of the community itself is such a abusive term, imagine going through that on a day-to-day basis, not able to have the comfort of being close to your biological family, being open to abuse, being open to violence, being open to uh, not getting enough opportunities to grow, not having political representation. Still, we as a community still have faith in you all. We still want you all to know about us, to like us, to this thing. When we haven't given up, it is your responsibility to share that task with us, to know more about us, to accept us, and to stop the kind of, unconscious untouchability that you all practice. Today, if you go into a train or a bus and suddenly a trans person comes and sits next to you, would that make you uncomfortable? And this is a question for all the audience. You feel uncomfortable, right? You don't want to sit next to a person. The person is not doing anything to you, even if they just sit. You suddenly realize everyone in the bus, in the train, and the public shop is looking at you. Why? Because we are all subconsciously practicing untouchability. I'm sure we have not thought about it like that because we never wish to think. But if this is not untouchability, what is? Would you ever be able to sit in a coffee shop and drink a cup of coffee with them? Would you be able to walk on the streets and believe it's totally fine? It doesn't matter. If your answer to this is even 1% no, then what you have been doing all through your life subconsciously is practice untouchability. And that is the thought I want to leave you all with.